Story 1. I caused the tea, coffee, and hot chocolate machine at work to give a free vend. It was very helpful when I was out of money toward the end of the month. I lived off hot chocolate at work. This was for a job I left in 1997. Story 2. One time in college, I had to install Windows 8.1 multiple times throughout the course of a week. I had to type this product key so many times it was easier to memorize it. Story 3. I can still recite the entire periodic table from high school. No idea why I did that, but it's oddly satisfying to pull it out in random conversations. Story 4. The license plate on the car driven by a man who exposed himself when he pulled up next to me and two friends when we were preteen girls walking to another friend's house. I didn't actually see it because I didn't walk up to the car when he stopped, but one of my friends did because he was asking for directions and she was trying to be helpful. She saw he was fondling himself while looking straight at her. She screamed and backed away and he took off. I got the license plate as he drove away. This was before we had phones and we didn't have a pen and paper to write on. So I repeated the plates in my head over and over and over until we got to a phone to call our parents. That was 52 years ago. Those damn plates are burned into my memory forever, like it or not. Story 5. My Bologna has a first name. It's Oscar. My Bologna has a second name. It's Mayor. Oh, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with Bologna. Story 6. Told my buddy in high school, pointing at a random word on a random page in a biology book. See that molecule name? I'm going to remember it my whole life. I had nothing to do with biology out of school. Yet, it is still perfectly engraved in my memory 15 years later. Story 7. Dashing and daring, courageous and caring, faithful and friendly with stories to share. All through the forest, they sing out in chorus, marching along as their song fills the air. Gummy bears, bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gummy bears. Magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of Gummy berry juice. The legend of growing, they take pride in knowing, to fight for what's right in whatever they do. Gummy bears, bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the Gummy bears. They are the Gummy bears. Story 8. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a sung to some old kid's song. It's how my Algebra 2 teacher got the kids to remember it. It really, really worked. Story 9. Had to memorize the list of prepositions in 6th grade by the scariest teacher ever in the history of mankind, Miss Mercier. About, above, after, against, along, among, around. At, before, behind, below, beside, between, beyond. By, down, during, for, from, in, into. Like near, of, off, on, over, through. To, toward, under, until, with, within, without. Story 10. That the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The only reason I deem it useless for myself is because it is literally the only information I remember about cells. It will be useful to lots of other people, I'm sure. Story 11. My deceased grandparents' phone number, my deceased dad's old phone number, my best friend's childhood phone number. None of these phone numbers have been in use for more than 10 years. Oh, and my first ex-wife's social security number. We have been divorced for 20 years now. Maybe this one isn't the most useless. Story 12. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all of our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Scottish play soliloquy I had to memorize in high school. Story 13. Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one suits me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was bad because now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. FREE, that spells free, creditreport.com. Baby. Saw their ads on my television. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling in style, my legs are sticking through the vinyl, and my friends are getting laughed at. FREE, that spells free, creditreport.com. Baby. Well, I married my dream girl, but she didn't tell me that her credit was bad. So now instead of living in a pleasant suburb, we're living in the basement at her mom and dad's. Well, we can't get a loan for a respectable home just because my girl defaulted on some old credit card. If we'd gone to freecreditreport.com, I'd be a happy bachelor with a dog and a yard. They say, Story 14, we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat as the school play when I was about 11, and I was the narrator. 40 years later, I've forgotten virtually all of it, except that I can still remember that his coat was red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn and lilac and gold and chocolate and mauve and cream and crimson and silver and rose and azure and lemon and russet and gray and purple and white and pink and orange and blue. Story 15. I suffer from off-the-charts attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Everything I know is from the long past and is completely useless. Now, if I could just remember what I was doing before answering this post. Story 16. Lucy and Ricky lived in apartment 3B. The Munsters lived at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Beaver Cleaver lived at 211 Pine Street, Mayfield. Years later, Marcus Welby practiced medicine in the same said house, but it had a different address. I used to know the phone number for the Daily Planet, workplace of Clark Kent in the 1960s Superman. But I guess I forgot it since Lois would never take my calls. Story 17. In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories. Story 18, I said a hip-hop, the hippie. To the hip-hip-hop, you don't stop the rock. To the bang-bang boogie, say up jump the boogie. To the rhythm of the boogie, the beat. Story 19. Please return Carrie's bike. Small, yellow training wheels. Handwritten sign on the front lawn of a house my friend Angie and I walked past when we were 8 years old. I guess we recognized a certain poetry in it because we turned it into a chant. Story 20. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation through to, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I still find it fascinating, but reciting the Declaration of Independence has never gotten me anything other than extra credit. Story 21. Hello, and welcome to the psychiatric hotline. If you are obsessive-compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, please ask someone else to press 2. If you have multiple personalities, please press 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you are paranoid delusional, we know who you are and what you want. Just stay on the line until we can trace the call. Story 22. In 6th grade, our teacher explained to us the difference between short-term and long-term memory and said, if I now just make up a number, let's say 76, you will have forgotten it by tomorrow. That was in the early 90s, and I still remember that number. Story 23. Probably all the responses you collectively say during a Catholic church mass and prayers, etc. I was forced to attend church until I was 17, and I can still remember all those things you have to memorize. What a waste of brain space. Story 24. Many old phone numbers, old addresses even though they moved out decades ago, commercials from the 1990s, the state capitals, birthdays of people I never talk to anymore, theme songs to old television shows, the words to Ice Ice Baby. Story 25. In the Schwarzenegger classic Running Man, they need to remember the code 182461 B1717 for to make it out alive. As a kid, I felt I helped to remember along. And from my German songs, mit, nach, bei, seit, von, zu, entgegen, außer, aus, gegenüber. I never use German anymore. Story 26. Voila. In view, a vaudevillian veteran cast vicariously as both villain and victim by the vestiges of fate. This visage, no mere cancer of villainy, is a vestige of the voice of the people, now vacant, vanished. This valorous visitation of a bygone vexation stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and virulent vermin vanguarding vice and vouchsafing the violent violation of volition. The only verdict is vengeance, a vendetta, held not in vain, for the value and veracity of such shall one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous. Verily, this mixture of verbiage veers most verbose, so let me add that it is my very good honor to meet you, and you may call me V. Story 27. Pi to 67 decimal places. I did it when I was 12. A few years ago, I had a few drinks at night and memorized the number e to 100 decimal places for fun. This was during the middle of the COVID lockdowns. Story 28. The back of the Flex shampoo bottle from when I was a kid. I used to read it in the bathtub over and over. Flex cleans hair fast. Cleans thoroughly, yet so gentle you can use it every day. What's more, it leaves hair smelling Flex fresh. Flex is so rich it makes even dry hair more manageable with a terrific shine. Flex helps control split ends, revives luster, and makes hair healthy acting. Story 29. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Indianapolis, Indiana. And Columbus is the capital of Ohio. There's Montgomery, Alabama, south of Helena, Montana. Then there's Denver, Colorado, under Boise, Idaho. Texas has Austin, then we go north to Massachusetts, Boston, and Albany, New York. Tallahassee, Florida, and Washington, District of Columbia. Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Nashville, Tennessee. Elvis used to hang out there a lot, you know. Trenton's in New Jersey, north of Jefferson City, Missouri. You've got Richmond in Virginia. South Dakota has Pierre. Harrisburg's in Pennsylvania, and Augusta's up in Maine. And here is Providence, Rhode Island, next to Dover, Delaware. Concord, New Hampshire, just a quick jaunt. To Montpelier, which is up in Vermont. Hartford's in Connecticut, so pretty in the fall. And Kansas has Topeka. Minnesota has St. Paul. Juneau's in Alaska, and there's Lincoln in Nebraska. And it's Raleigh out in North Carolina, and then there's Madison, Wisconsin, and Olympia in Washington. Phoenix, Arizona, and Lansing, Michigan. Here's Honolulu, Hawaii's a joy. Jackson, Mississippi, and Springfield, Illinois. South Carolina with Columbia down the way. And Annapolis in Maryland on Chesapeake Bay. They have wonderful clam chowder. Cheyenne is in Wyoming, and perhaps you make your home in Salt Lake City out in Utah where the buffalo roam. Atlanta's down in Georgia, and there's Bismarck, North Dakota. And you can live in Frankfort in your old Kentucky home. Salem in Oregon. From there we join. Little Rock in Arkansas. Iowa's got Des Moines. Sacramento, California. Oklahoma and its city. Charleston, West Virginia. And Nevada, Carson City. That's all the capitals there are. Story 30, United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru Republic, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador to Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname and French Guiana, Barbados and Guam, Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Finland and Germany. Now in one piece Switzerland, Austria, Czech Republic, Italy, Turkey and Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq and Iran, there's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemens, Kuwait and Bahrain, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium and Portugal, France, England, Denmark and Spain, India, Pakistan, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, then Borneo and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Eswatini, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana, Burundi, Lesotho and Malawi. Togo, the Spanish Sahara is gone, Niger, Nigeria, Chad and Liberia, Egypt, Benin and Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, and Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algiers, Benin, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Mayotte and Cayman Islands, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Serbia, Crete, Mauritania, then Transylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan. Story 31. A remark from the Mormon Church's founder, Joseph Smith, known as the Standard of Truth. I was raised Mormon, and some things just won't leave my mind. Story 32. Willie, Harry, Steve, Harry, Dick, John, Harry the Third, 1, 2, 3, Ned's, Richard the Second, Henry the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, then who? Edward the Fourth, Fifth, Dick the Lad, Harry's Twain, Ned the Bad, Mary Bessie James the Vain, Charlie James, William and Mary and Gloria, for George William, Victoria, Ned George, and now it's seen. The second Bessie is the Queen. Story 33. Don't you stick it in your mouth, don't you shove it in your face. It will get you sick real quick. 5671111 calling pizza. Hey. Juicy fruit, it's gonna move you. Story 34. When I was in 4th grade, I was bored during class, so I decided to see if I could use math to figure out how many seconds were in a year. I think I might have asked my parents and they didn't know, so I took it upon myself. After some quick multiplication, I came to the answer 3,171,600. I was so proud of myself. I interrupted my teacher. We had moved on to some other subject, history or something, I don't know, and announced what I had done. He was so impressed, he stopped the lesson to applaud me. The rest of the class was so impressed. They crowded around my desk to see my notes. I told my parents. They told our relatives. I had people bringing it up at family functions months later because everyone was so impressed I had figured out there were 3,171,600 seconds in a year. The problem, though, is that's wrong. There aren't 3,171,600 seconds in a year. There are 31,536,000 seconds in a year. I had to look it up just now because to this day I don't remember the correct answer. I only remember 3,171,600 and the fact that nobody ever called me on it or checked my math.